ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and a welcome to a brief talk on the need for growth and opportunities in indigenous defense production. So we're going to talk about growth, we're going to talk about opportunities, and we are going to see if there is a synergy at all between the policies that have been advocated by the government and what is actually happening on ground. So let's see, the whole thing is about, this pyramid. And I deliberately focus my talk on the MSMEs because when you talk about a defense industrial base, you talk about the base first. The larger the base, taller the pyramid. Stronger the base, fundamentally elevated the pyramid. If we forget the base, the pyramid will not stand. Let this point be made very, very clear, and let us focus our entire development towards the fundamental strengthening of the MSMEs in the country. That's the only sure way for progress. What are the fundamentals? There is a need. Nobody disputes the need. The political establishment has taken a number of steps. It has been enunciated already. So there's no need to talk about it. How do you define indigenous production? Can you overnight start making everything in India? Is there a gradual step-by-step approach that we have? Can we turn around from 30% to 70%? Are these some things that are possible without an intervention? Are we talking about only organic growth? Or are we talking about organic and inorganic growth? When the Prime Minister said from the portals of the Red Fort, he said, come make in India. And make in India for the world. Every nook and corner in the world should say this product is made in India. So I'm going to enunciate that vision as to how. And therefore, we need to address the realism in the IDDM, which has been much talked about. Indigenously design and development on one side and indigenous manufacture on the other side. There is a growth. Let's see what are the opportunities. The opportunities for the Indian industry are in the capital route, which is governed by the DPP, the revenue route, which has got a centralized revenue system, which is, the MGO spoke to you this morning, and therefore there is a centralized revenue system that takes place from the service headquarters to maintain the systems that have already been procured in the capital route. And then there is a decentralized revenue route, which is available across the commands and the various armies that are in our country. The various commands of the Army and the commands of the Navy and Air Force. They all have their own systems from the Army commanders, special financial powers. And then we have the Directorate of Indigenization. We are fortunate to have Brigadier Balla here. He is going to talk about that. One major opportunity we have is in offsets. And therefore, we are going to see, have we enabled, facilitated the Indian industry to participate in offsets enough? We have taken some great steps. We have changed the policy every 2 years. But is that enough? And if you want to ever progress, it's all about exports. Today morning, if you have seen in the Economic Times, there is a statement. Export-oriented units will bounce back first. So let's think about exports as one of the fundamental opportunities for growth. When we talk of growth, we need to talk about inclusive growth. Large primes are best suited in the larger contracts. Tier 1, Tier 2 companies, do we have them? In India, we either have the large primes, we have the DPSUs, or we have MSMEs. We have not developed a tierized system of industry in this country. And therefore, this should be one of the focus areas of the government. And MSMEs are fundamental to the existence of the industry. So where are the opportunities? And is it only for the large primes alone? Or are we also talking about the opportunities for the medium, small industries? Can they see these opportunities? If they see them, is it within their reach? Do they have aspirations? Can we meet their aspirations? Can we create an environment in which they can meet their own aspirations? The fundamental job of the government is only to create that environment. Once that environment is there, MSMEs are capable of fending for themselves. And that's how growth takes place. And hand-holding for the MSMEs in the initial period will be absolutely mandatory. So how can we protect them? We need to protect them, and that is the requirement of the day. If India lives in villages, ladies and gentlemen, industry lives in the MSMEs. This is my theme statement throughout whenever I've been speaking, and let us not forget the fundamental cause of the industry to sustain by itself. In this DPP, there have been 11 mentions of MSMEs, and that's a very great step, and therefore I'll skip it. It is there in the forward where it says, it provides greater impetus to MSMEs. It is there in the preamble enhancing the role. It is there in offsets where they provide the multipliers of 150%. It is there in the make procedure where the projects are earmarked in make 1 for projects less than 10 crores. It is there in the make procedure for make 2, which is industry funded for less than 3 crores. It is there in the annual acquisition plan make, where they will invite the small and medium industry associations to be a part of it. Feasibility studies, they will be a part of this. The guidelines for listing, shortlisting of Indian vendors, they have relaxed the norms for the MSMEs. Net worth criteria has been relaxed, and therefore, I think the government has done a great job. What are the problems? So, the problems are the MSMEs are not able to see. Are not able to see where the opportunity lies. They are not able to come and participate in those opportunities. They have to look for the Make 1 and Make 2 programs. They have to interact. Now, the initiative has been launched by the Army Design Bureau, which is, I think the Army has started marching down the industry lane. And here we see that the Deputy Chief has been interacting with various industry associations across the country. And this is a great step. And therefore, interaction with the Army Design Bureau, conglomeration of MSMEs for synergy. MSMEs should be open to collaborate. We need to have MSME to MSME to MSME collaborative arrangements. And therefore, I would look at 2-3 small MSMEs forming a small consortia, maybe a virtual consortia, to come forward with the lead MSME and participate in the Buy Indian programs, all of them which are within the 100-150 crores. And there are about 40 to 50 programs at any time. So this is an opportunity that we need to do. So we need to look at these opportunities, put them forward in the Make 1 and 2, and encourage the foreign OEMs to interact more with the MSMEs. What about exports? As an opportunity, exports is a very great motivator and enhancer in growth. Only when you look beyond the frontiers of this country, only then the success lies. If you have so many OEMs sitting in this country, it is because they have looked beyond their country, and that's where they have progressed. And therefore, we need to look beyond our boundaries and look for those opportunities which are there in the Indian Ocean region. We should dominate the Indian Ocean region and supply and be a major supplier of components, subsystems, and systems in the Indian Ocean region. We should make the Indian Ocean region dependent upon India as the lead power in sustaining their requirements. So I'll give you some government data. I'll give you some data which I picked up from the Ministry of Commerce, and then we'll find out as to where we are, and who are the stakeholders. I'm going to talk to you about what is the concept of the stakeholders in this whole system of procurement. The government says, this has been picked up from the MOD website, 1693 crores in exports based on NOCs. And these are the countries. You can see them. It's there on the MOD website. Now I'll talk to you about 8801. In 8801 itself, I'm able to see, 3901, $25 million, $2 million, $3 million across various countries. You can see how 8801 for balloons, which are the countries, the top countries which have been importing the subsystems and components from India: Australia, Bangladesh, Botswana, and the name goes on. 8802, this is, I'm talking about all those ITCHS codes which are defined in the industrial license category list, which is the government data. 8803, Russia, Israel, China, Switzerland. 8804, Brazil, Germany. This I'm just giving you as an idea to say that plenty of exports are already taking place. This is from the DGFT, the Ministry of Commerce. Exports of 88, Chapter 88 at large. I'm giving you the top 10 countries where we have been exporting. Sri Lanka, UAE, USA, Germany. I mean, it seems to be pretty impressive. 93, this is all about military weapons. The top 10 countries again, France, USA, it starts from here. And what are we talking about? We are talking about $6 million, $3 million. 8710, tanks and warships. We are talking about again 140 million, 12 million. As far as 8906, which is all about warships, we are talking about 54 million. So there is some good work that is taking place in exports. I'm giving you a different perspective here, which is not a part of the license list which has been given by the government. Now, 8526 is one of the areas, radars, apparatus, which is also protected. You must have seen in the Hindustan Times, which carried a thing saying that night vision goggles are available from Amazon. I mean, you must have read it today. I just checked out, that is chapter 9004. 9004 4-digit code, which is restricted, is available to you today. And that too made in the USA. What does it speak? It speaks about the aggressive nature of exports that these countries are doing. And we need to follow that. We need not be restricted all the time by the ITCHS code. We have to create and formulate an ITCHS code and make those restrictions free if they are made free elsewhere, because we are also signatories to the WTO. A snapshot of exports across will show you that we are already talking about 3705 crores, in 3705,000 crores, and about $4.18 billion in exports across 8526, across 8901 and others. There are some very great Indian companies who are exporting. This is very, very small, very small. I just wanted to give this shot to tell you, Accord Systems and Software, for example, about more than 10,000 aircrafts of the US use the receivers from Accord System and Software. They are on the ISRO missions. Every missile in India does it. You talk about Astra Microwave. You talk about global engineers. They have been exporting for the last 20 years. They have been exporting. They are the largest exporters of concertina coils. We need to exploit these companies. VEM technologies, actuators. If you talk of IDDM, they are saying I'll make a missile myself. The backyard of BDL. So here it is, General Optics, Alpha Design Technologies. So you have a number of companies that are doing. There is a very great provision which is available in the offset guidelines. Offset guidelines, avenues for discharge, it begins with the statement, 3.1a. Direct purchase and or execution of export orders. You know, when we conceived this in 2006, I was the chief architect of the offset policy at that time. It went out of my desk. And I'll tell you, when we conceived this, the thought process was export orders, execution of export orders by OEM will enhance and give opportunities to the Indian industry. And therefore, what it means, the OEM with this global reach across various countries should be able to identify opportunities for us and then find out what opportunity can be exploited by using an Indian company. Unfortunately, we have not been exploiting this. I would urge the powers that be, I don't know who's listening from the government, because I normally, when I speak, I don't see anybody from the government. So we speak to ourselves and we go back. But I'm sure this time, with the political leadership alongside, we'll be able to take this to the government and say, we need to enhance the export orders and we need to exploit this provision in the offset policy, and we need to encourage more exports from these companies. There is a policy on regulatory of exports, free items. I just wanted to show you how ridiculous we are. Tents, parts and accessories, uniform, clothing. I mean, is this something we want to talk about? I think it should be removed straight away, and we should be able to talk about subsystems, systems which we are manufacturing, which are free in the ITCHS code, which is part of the WTO, and take it forward. I think we need to have a direct revision for this free export from the DGFT. freely exportable military goods. This should talk about the strength of the Indian industries, stakeholders and non-stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in this business? The armed forces, they need the best equipment. If there is a Pathankot or an Uri, there are only two types of people who come forward. One is the armed forces who give a press briefing. One is the political leadership which gives a press briefing. Yeah, I'll finish it. I'm already there. The non-stakeholders are here in the system to just ensure that the system is smooth. They are supposed to see the procedure. The stakeholders, if there are 100 ways it cannot happen, they'll find that one way, 101st way which can happen. The non-stakeholders will look for the first opportunity where it cannot happen. This attitude of the non-stakeholders should change. If you see an analysis of the DPP 2016, if there are 137 weeks in the whole process, the planning process is excellent. Within 2 months, AON is accorded by the Raksha Mantri. Here is the Raksha Mantri who accords an AON, and after that, the project goes on a limbo. It just goes on a limbo. Many times it's retracted. Many times, fate not known. Here is the Raksha Mantri who gives an AON. Why can't you ensure 137 weeks? In the morning, the minister spoke about corruption in defense deals. Why does corruption happen? Corruption happens because we delay the process. The more you delay, the more you create energy in the industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to find the seeker teams which go out to the industry and come back. So that's it. Efficiencies in defense production. I want to talk about whether it's a good idea to corporatize the ordnance factory boards. It's a good idea to send the DPSUs under the Ministry of Heavy Industry. Is it a good idea to send the DRDO under the Ministry of Science and Technology? And then let them all compete for this business. Thank you very much.